Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Voles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, indeedy. Oh, my goodness. Hope you guys are having a great day. Appreciate you joining me here on this hump day. Wednesday, what are we on? January 27th, I think 28th. I don't know what day we're on. Doesn't matter. It's a Wednesday. I know that. And I think it's January 28th. But hey, you know what? When you're doing snow, you just can't keep up with your days. So, hey, we'll call it 28th. Yeah, I see that now on my phone. We are the 28th. It is a hump day. Hope you guys are enjoying your day so far. Very cold here. I think we were down in the single digits somewhere, depending on where you were at. But yeah, pretty cold, man. It's acting like winter around here, and it's going to be continuing to act like winter for a couple more weeks. I guess 10 to 14 days, and then hard to believe, man. 14 days from now or so, hopefully, we'll be starting pre-emerge. So I don't know. That's another discussion for another day. But hey, it is hump day. It is January 28th. I have a confirmation on that. So, hey, and I'm glad you guys are here with me today. So I didn't get to put my social media post out on Facebook about my show. So I don't know. I'll try to sneak that in as I'm talking. I don't know if I can. Well, but like if somebody didn't expect this to be on, so they didn't tune in because they didn't think maybe the prophet was going to be on, So I don't know. So
I think that's a lot of
assumption.
Yeah. I think if they're going to tune in, they're going to tune in.
They're going to, maybe guy might need a reminder, Hey, it's, they might be jacked up on their days too. So I don't know. I've heard it both ways. But anyways, hey, all joking aside, we're going to have a great show today. We're going to talk about snow and predominantly and what people learn from an event like this. Younger guys, and not just younger guys, but people that maybe hadn't been in business long enough to experience a 15 or an 18-inch snowfall. How it would, because that's a heck of a lot different than dealing with, 2, 3, 4, 6 inches or something like that. So it is a game changer. A lot of times it's a business changer for people. I know it was for me. We'll talk more about that though as we move along in the show. But again, hey, I just want to thank all y'all for being here with me this morning. Looking forward to what you guys are into. I know, our friend John and Tim Brennan, and I'm trying to think of guys up in Pennsylvania, Doug. And just guys everywhere, man, whether you're in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maine, New York, it doesn't matter where you're at. You've had a pretty ongoing weather events so this winter. So I don't know, 2 in a row, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. But Daniel's going to be on my show with me today. He's on a lot of days, as you all know, but we're going to talk snow and snow from potentially his perspective as a living in an HOA where they're kind of treated as a stepchild on the street they're on. So we'll talk a little bit about that and how creative some contractors get. But other than that, man, I'm curious to know what you guys are into today. What's going on? We got a garage door company here today doing a little maintenance on our garage doors here for us. Hopefully they're going to make it around to all 4 of them. We got a handle we need on one and then service on just a regular general service on the other 3. And we'll see how it pans out. We don't know.
Should be good.
Should be good. We we had a thing. I think they got one of them rolling pretty good. They were going to change the lock on one for us. It had a 1983 lock on it. So I'm curious to see what's changed. Maybe it's stainless steel now. No, I don't know. But
probably lock technology has come a far way since.
I made that up. I think 87, I think, is when we moved in. So, but still, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And, oh, my God, we had the funniest thing happen, Daniel. Well, it wasn't funny at the time, but our front door wouldn't shut. All of a sudden, it just wouldn't shut, So we fooled it. Not long. When I say it seems like it was a long time, but I said, get it the damn sledgehammer, and so we got the sledgehammer out, and we manipulated the metal door frame, and guess what?
It's working.
It was working, and it was worked enough to shut the door. Then I returned after the snow event on the first day after whatever that was, probably Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, so it'd been Monday. You know, when we finally went home after this, and we'll talk about that whole thing. But then I could like the never got my key to unlock the door because it was on a weird angle. So or something, you know, we got it
Huh.
shut, and it was shut and then open okay, but it wouldn't unlock right. And then and we tried it before we left, but you know, I guess sitting there another 7 or 8 hours before we went home and got a little chill out, rest in, and came back. As you guys understand how that works in the snow business, um, we normally don't leave till we're done. Done, we don't leave, you know, like that. In between rounds, we stay here at the shop. But so we got all of our customers got serviced for like the fourth time in the event, and we're in good shape. And third or fourth time, and but anyway, long story short, got here and couldn't get the door open, unlocked. I'm like, oh my God, you're killing me. And it was like wind blowing cold, you know. So I kicked it. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I kicked the base of the door with my foot, and there's a salt boot mark or shoe mark, tennis shoe mark, because I have my tennis shoes on, and it's been working perfectly since. So sometime, I guess the goofiness works. So I tell y'all that story just because it's a solid metal fire door, and it's a you know, and I knew it could take it, but I just had to do something to get in, you know, and I didn't have a, God, Dan, if you're listening to me in St. Louis, help me with that. What are those bars we carried on in the fire department? That no, no, um, it, he'll
Like
know
the thing
exactly.
from Mulan where they come into the
It's
thing and
like
they're swinging it.
it's got like a pick on one side, kind of, and then a hammer prong on the other side, and it's like three tools in one. I want to say a helix bar, but that ain't it. But it's something like that. But Dan will know in a second. Anybody involved in fire service would know. But God, I can't believe it. But if I'd have had one of those, I'd have been in this son of a gun in a real hurry.
We ought to get the recording of you kicking the door and we could AI it to where you kick it down. You have a cape on.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about the doorman. So anyway, hey, we got in. That's all that matters. So we got in, and the door is functioning now um, for another, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. I guess we'll see. We're not going to fool with that door till it warms up a little bit, you know, because that door being cold, letting all that cold air in, get be not fun to say the least. So, anyways, that was our experience on getting in the door. Yes, indeedy, Fred Likens. I appreciate you, man. Heiligen Bar. Daniel just looked it up and he said Heiligen Bar and Fred texted you at the same time. That's it. Man, that's the first thing you grabbed. I mean, that was the first thing. Fred said he cheated and looked it up too. That's exactly it. As a firefighter, that's one of the, if you're not on a hose line, that's the first thing you grab when you're going, you know, when you're walking to go do something or check something out from a door standpoint because it's a multi-purpose tool. Thanks, Fred. I appreciate you, man. So yeah, that is exactly it. I can't believe I forgot the name of that thing. My goodness. Oh my. But we did. Thanks, Fred. Appreciate you guys being here with us. That's for sure. And we're going to talk a little about snow today, but and not just the snow that we had, but potentially we got a couple more light snow events coming this week. I think Thursday night into Friday morning, and then maybe a little bit more Saturday during the day, and then maybe some Monday. So we're looking forward to those because those look like saltable snows only, and But man, that snow we had this past weekend it was an event. It was an event, and Fred, I know you guys. It was an event for you all up there too, as well. And it kind of snuck in on their area up around Indianapolis. It just kept moving north, 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 and we got lucky with it. Um, uh, we had a warm, what they call a warm nose, get into it. And you guys that do snow understand that. But so we had, I don't know, several hours of just sleet snow mix, which cut down on our totals. I'd say we had somewhere between 6 and 9 inches. I think the weather service here recorded right at 6 inches at the airport. And I can tell you this now. I'm not making fun of what they said we got because they're a hell of a lot smarter than I am. But I do know that we plowed a facility out there at the airport, a tarmac. Actually, a couple of them, and there was every bit of 6 inches total. Wouldn't you say, Kyle? I mean, those piles. They were. We had more than 6 inches of snow out there. Yeah, yeah. It was. I don't know. Maybe the wind does account for some of that out there, Daniel, because it was a dry snow at 1st.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it does drift a little bit. But yeah, we not just there, but our facilities around town and subdivisions that we take care of, and there was hell. We plowed 3 times. You know, so and and we weren't plowing 2 inches any of them, were we? I mean, that's just the reality of it. So um, I don't know. Snow's kind of funny, but yeah, it was a good event, and that's why we wanted to talk about snow today. Was different perspectives on how it's snow where you get into 9, 12, 15 inches or more as a snow contractor. Until you experience that, you may think you've got a good plan in place, but we want to talk about how that can change your mindset. Because I know 1994 is what changed our mindset here at Wayne's Lawn Service when we had, I think officially it was 16 inches of snow, like 15.9 or something, but in about 6 hour time frame, um, which was pretty daggone crazy, man. So there was that with thunder snow, and I hope I never experience that again. But things like that change your business. And that's a little bit what we wanted to talk about today is how, how when you want to change your business, how you go about making those changes. And you can do it on your own, like we decided to and figured out and did, because there wasn't a whole lot of help out there at that time, and thank God there wasn't social media out there at that time, because that's about the worst place in the world you can go to get help. There's some very competent help on social media, but the incompetent help on social media far outweighs the competent help. Thank God for guys like Fred, and I say that not because you're listening, because it's the damn truth, that can help some of these guys with some really good knowledge. And like I said, there's more out there that have good knowledge, but oh my gosh, Daniel.
It's like being in a room of people shouting, trying to hear to the one that's whispering.
Yes, that is a really great analogy. Absolutely. So
Good answer.
good answer. Good answer. Out of 100 people surveyed, God, that would be a fun game to play Snowmageddon on. Yeah, let's play Family Feud or Contractor Feud, we'll call it. We may be onto something.
Yeah,
that could be an idea.
Could be a thing.
But hey, if you're wanting some decent help, there's a lot of decent help out there. But if you don't want to look too hard for it, hey, join the profit circle with us. It's simple. It's easy to get into. We've got nothing but professionals in that group of contractors. It's no BS. We disseminate a lot of great information amongst the contractors, as well as our experience here at Profits Unlimited, Wayne's Lawn Service. So, check it out. Check it out. Just simply go to our website, Profits or Us. That's Profits, AREUS. And right there at the top of our website, you'll see the Profit Circle, and you can join right there and be rocking and rolling. And, but yeah, you just got to be really careful, is what it amounts to, on where and how you get that information. And speaking of which, for you guys that are in the Profit Circle with us, Thursday night, I know Daniel sent the Zoom link out on that already, but Thursday night, that'd be tomorrow night, the 29th at 7 p.m. We're having our monthly meeting for our recap for the month. And I know a lot of you guys, man, just may still be doing snow at that point, So, but everything we do, you can catch on the recap or replay or what do you call it? Yeah, that's it.
Replay. Yeah.
Yeah, on the replay, Daniel gets it up immediately. So when things slow down a little bit, go back and check it out. But hey, we'd love to have you in live with us, and you can try it for free. Hop in there, hop in there with us and try it for free. If, I mean, for $20 a month, I mean, it's really just it's a no-brainer to get the experience from so many different contractors all over the country, and you should get and there's literally no BS. I can say how long we had the Profit Circle, Daniel. What
4 years, I think.
4 years, and I don't think we've had any stupidity in 4 years. I can honest to God say that. And if you got anybody comes in and joins, what you can see is all the content from 4 years. So, I mean, you'll see, there may be some that are basic questions that guys have, but a guy that asks a basic question doesn't get a dumbass answer from, or a response from anybody. That's it too when we do our Zoom meetings. So it's not and we do video responses to any question you have. So, anyways, check it out. Check it out. I'm sure you'll like it. And but if you're one of those guys that wants to tell everybody how stupid they are and how smart you are, we don't want you, quite honestly. So because I'm a firm believer you don't change somebody's mindset on something like that. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in anything, you can't change someone; they have to change themselves.
They got to want to change themselves. So, but anyways, I want to talk a little bit about this snow in particular, because I've already talked to a few contractors in different parts of the country and several guys right here in our own market that have reached out with things. But for us here in our market in Louisville, we had about 27 hours of straight precipitation. And started out very light Saturday afternoon, about 2, and not enough to do anything with till we creeped on in late Saturday night. But, the way you manage an event is the experience you gain and to get better at things. And when if you have 5 or 6 hours of snow, hey, you do a salt plow salt and you're done. That's just the way it is. 2 to 4 inches, 3 to 5 inches, whatever. That's an easy event. And those you can do them all day long, every day. But what we want to talk about today is when you get into a more significant event like this, where you've got, over 24 hours of continuing precipitation, and then you're trying to keep up with the properties that you've got that you're servicing. What a snow like this does for you is helps you understand capacity for the equipment and trucks that you're running, whether it's one truck, 10 trucks, or whatever. The number doesn't matter. What matters is how do you determine capacity and what do you have in reserve capacity available? Because what the problem that a lot of contractors get lured into, and Wayne Voles is raising his hand right now because I got lured into that. And it doesn't happen just in Louisville, Kentucky. It can be any market in the country. or Canada, anywhere in the world. I mean, what you get lured into is, Daniel, and this happens all the time, you get lured into those 2 to 4 inch snows, right? Or the occasional, 6 inch snow, let's say. So you set your capacity to that. And then when you have something more significant, who's penalized?
Everybody, really.
Everybody. That's the exact right answer. Everybody's penalized. A lot of times guys say, well, me, because it takes me longer. No, first and foremost, your customer's penalized because they're waiting too long for either the first response and or ongoing responses to their facility. Okay, so that's where capacity becomes such an issue, and not understanding, hey, I've got 10 hours that I want to go out and sell. Do you really have 10 hours that you want to sell? What's the longest you want a customer waiting? You know, and then how are you going to say, well, Wayne, I'm not going to give all that income up, for something that happens once a year or every 2 or 3 years? You know, I'm not going to give all that income up for them other years. Well, then what's your business model look like? What's your business plan look like that says, hey, in the event where we got 8 inches or more of snow, I've got X number of subcontractors already lined up. I'm not on social media saying, hey, who wants to make $100 an hour plowing snow, or $200, whatever the amount is, $1,000 an hour plowing snow. I mean, you know, you got to have a pre-plan. What is the plan? What is your plan specifically, and how do you handle that? So capacity is what you learn about in a significant storm first, and then also what you learn when you get into, say, 8 inches of snow or more, let's 6 inches or more of snow, is if your capacity's off, is your equipment that you've got to do the job right, because that F250 or that F350 with a 8 foot EXT on it, or whatever your flavor brand is or color you like is, doesn't matter. But because of the excessive snowfall and the speed that you get, and you're slowed down because of the additional snowfall, that capacity that worked now's not working. So instead of pushing, 6 inches of snow when you get there, now because you were slowed down, you're pushing 12 inches or 14 inches of snow because it slowed you down a few hours. And that truck, that F-250 with that 8 foot plow and wings isn't getting the job done. Okay. Or that 150, God forbid, that you're using, certainly isn't going to get the job done. And we're not getting into the 150. Wayne, I use a 150 all the time, works fine. Yeah, generally they will. But we got to think about what the what if scenarios. And the what if scenarios are the storms that come along occasionally, whether occasionally means, once a year on average, twice a year, every 2 years, whatever that is, you know, you have to have a plan for it. And what does that plan look like for your company? And that's where you get a snow like this, where you get 10, 12, 15 inches or more of snow, at one time over a short number of hours, like happened with this last snow, is, how are you going to respond to it? How do you respond to it? Because what comes into play most, and you guys that haven't experienced this yet until this event, and looks like there's going to be another event very similar to this weekend on the East Coast, starting down in North and South Carolina and moving up the coast, is who's first? You know, that's the biggest question in snow and ice management, is who's first. It's not how much are you charging. People think it's all about cost, but the reality of it is the who's first isn't problematic until until you get into a significant snow event. Is that fair? What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to your capacity question.
Capacity, right? I mean, hey, if because I know here at WLS, we can run a salt route in 2 hours or under. That's the way we've set it up. You know, we've got enough trucks, enough equipment that if we're going to run a salt route, I'm not saying that's got to be your model, but that's ours. You know, we want to be able to run a salt route with no plowing in 2 hours or under. Okay. Now, and if not, that we're going to do something about it. We're going to add another vehicle and change some routes, is what we're going to do with it. Hire another sub, do something with it. But I don't want our customers having that much exposure time before something is done on their property, whether it's a liquid application, whether it's a pre-treat, whether it's okay, well, hey, in this one we're just going to as soon as it starts, we're going to go up put treating. But our target goal after we educated ourselves and changed our business model after a few significant snows is 2 hours or less, and that's the way we operate. Now, you may say 3 hours for you or 4 hours for you. Whatever you decide works for you is what you're going to want to use. Okay. But know that in our business, and it doesn't matter if you're in Louisville, Kentucky, Augusta, Maine, or wherever you're at, Mississauga, Ontario, you know, we're risk managers for our snow and ice management customers. We're risk managers. That's what we do. And when you understand that is when you implement things within your business model to help you appreciate capacity. Do I have the right equipment to get the job done? And just because I can get it done, and Daniel, I'd like you to talk about this a little bit from a mindset standpoint. Just because I can get it done with the equipment I got doesn't necessarily mean that I should do the job. What do you think about that? Because I think a lot of guys say, "Well, I can do it." Yeah, my F-250 and this 10-foot plow get the job done, and this back plow, and I read a whole lot about guys with back plows that went out and bought these back plows that when they tried putting it into this type of snow, all of a sudden that back plow that works really great and really efficiently in lighter snows, because they couldn't make their rounds fast enough, their back plows weren't working for them right. Not that they weren't working, they were working from a physical hydraulic standpoint, but it was too much snow, you know? So, how much mindset you think just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? It's kind of like lifting 300 pounds on what's that, the bench press, or
Yeah.
250 or.
I mean, I guess it comes down to, are you doing something that is beneficial? Like, is the system you're setting up beneficial? Or is it just because, like, I guess, like you said, because you can, because it's possible? Or is it a system that works for everybody, including, not just including your customers and you, but also you from the standpoint of all my stuff is, my equipment is not getting damaged or whatever, the truck's not taking a beating or the plow's not getting jacked up or, like, just because it's getting done doesn't mean then you don't have problems post storm or whatever.
Right. Because, I mean, when you're overutilizing a piece of equipment, it'll do it for a while,
Hmm.
you know. But at some point in time, when you're doing something, using a piece of equipment in a way it shouldn't be used, because as I want to say this the right way, as egotistical as some people can be, they're like, oh, I can get this done.
Yeah.
and their egos in the way. So they do get it done. But what are you doing to the transmission of your truck? What are you doing to the overall maintenance, wear and tear on that vehicle, putting it into an environment that it can handle, but probably shouldn't handle, you know, on a basis like that. So those are all things to think about, and that's just a few of them. I do want to go back to the who's first thing, regardless of what your business model looks like too. Is how do you determine who's first? Well, is it this is a fun conversation that we're not going to accomplish in 25 minutes. But the reality of it is you need to implement something to determine who's first and not who's literally number one. There's always somebody that's first, somebody that's last. But what is your pecking order in which you're servicing your accounts? Is it, well, a lot of times we say, well, it's our 24-hour facilities, or it's our uh, uh, nursing homes, or it's our, got fill in the blank on what it could be. It's our customers that pay the best. It's our customers that pay the most. It's our customers that are full service. And those are all good starting points. But what I found out after doing snow for several years is, hey, all of a sudden, when you start scaling your company a little bit, guess what you have? You've got a lot of customers that pay good. You got a lot of customers that are full service accounts. You got a lot of customers that fit that criteria, but all of a sudden the capacity for snow, you know, mowing a property Monday through Friday and pick a day, right? Versus, hey, we got snow and I need you here within 6 hours is two different business models, or 8 hours or 4 hours, whatever you want to use. Okay. But so what we attached to that was a retainer or a deposit that's paid to get within a placement of response time. Works great. Works great for us. Works great for contractors across the country. I preach this message, all across the country in Canada, and some guys implemented it. A lot of guys implement it and use it, and some guys think it's the dumbest thing in the world. So we're all going to make a choice, but in order to make a choice, we got to have the competent knowledge available to make a choice that's best for our own companies. And what that does for you as a contractor, then that gives you the ability, as you're talking to ABC Company about snow and ice management for their facility, you know, and they say, hey, Wayne, I need my lot clear by 7 a.m. Well, we're not going to get into the clear verbiage today because we've talked about that last week and enough. But the first question I ask them when we get that is, that sounds reasonable. I'll just say, I call him Daniel. Okay, Daniel. Daniel, that sounds reasonable, but I just got one question. What time's it going to start snowing? Well, I don't know. Well, what I don't want to do is be that next snow contractor that you're firing, because I've told you that, hey, we'll have your lot serviced by 7 a.m. or 5 a.m. or whatever time it is, because neither one of us know when it's going to start snowing, and neither one of us know when it's going to stop snowing. Like in this case, we just had 27 hours of continual service or snow, right? So that meant multiple visits to all of our facilities. So how did we decide, Wayne's Lawn Service, where we were going initially and who was going to be serviced after that? And so we set it up into two different levels of response times: our priority one accounts and our priority two accounts. Now, for us, the ethical side of that, what we did is we set up a system that you don't pay more for plowing, you don't pay more for ice melter, you don't pay more for any of our services. But what you do pay is a retainer to get pushed ahead of somebody else. But everybody gets that same option to go to, hey, you want to be a priority one account, you want to be a priority two account.
Yeah.
They pick on a nice sunny day.
Mm-hmm. It's like going to Disney. Everybody pays the same for the ticket. You just get to pay a little bit more if you want to jump the line.
Yeah. And that's what our retainer system does. And it has satisfied the problem of where yet, where yet, where yet. How many times don't you get that phone call? Hey man, when y'all gonna be here? My neighbor's lot's already been serviced twice and y'all ain't been here yet. When you get tired of that, you implement a system like this, and then you understand capacity to be able to service. How many people are you going to take as a priority one account that says, hey, we're going to guarantee you service within 4 hours from the time it starts snowing? You would have either been pre-treated, treated, plowed and treated. Something is going to have happened within that 4 hour time frame. You will not wait any longer than 4 hours to see a truck on your facility for at least one time. And those go to your 24-hour facilities and people that say, hey, yeah, I need you and I need you now. I don't want to wait 4 to 6 hours. Now, some people, that's perfectly fine. You got a church? We do several churches, right? Well, for a lot of them, on Wednesday, it doesn't matter unless it's Wednesday or Sunday. So then they got to pick, hey, do I want to pay for priority service for a Wednesday and Sunday possibility, or do I just want to go to priority two service who gets service after our priority one accounts? But what you're doing is you're giving your customers a choice between something and something else. Never a choice between something and nothing. And I think that's where a lot of contractors go bad, Daniel. They don't get a choice. And I think it's fair for them to make that choice, don't you?
Yeah. I think that also that when you have like a benefit along with a secondary option too, that makes it seem attractive instead of just like second place.
Right. Yeah. It's not just a, well, God, that's what's left over
Yeah.
option. It's what fits your needs best as a customer. But our business model says you're going to be a priority one or a priority two account. We're not going to have call in work. So you're going to be one or priority two. We're not going to do call in. So you're not going to be put into a third list, if you will. That's just a model we developed because we found that by the time we would get to that call in work, it's been driven on, it's been packed on. Now, when you get there, your plow doesn't plow up, down pressure, up pressure, sideways pressure. I don't care what kind of pressure you got. When it's been driven on and packed down, it goes back to, do we have the right equipment and or do we have the right ice melter? Am I going to have to send a skid steer out there? That's, it can get problematic. So don't let it be problematic. Let's think about this stuff before it happens, because I know when I had my hip surgery done, I wanted Dr. Griffin to understand, hey, this would probably go this way, but if something happens, this is how I'm going to deal with it. And I think as a professional, you owe it to your customers to think the what if scenarios out. And the way you think those what if scenarios out is understanding capacity, understanding what equipment it's going to take to get the job done, have a predetermined pecking order of how you're going to see your customers. And like with us, our priority one customers don't necessarily mean they're going to be the first one we do out of the box. They're going to be best timing on service to their open time. We may do our priority two accounts at midnight, but do our priority one accounts starting them at 3 a.m. So when they're rolling in there at 5, 6, and 7, they've already been treated or plowed or whatever needs to have been done the first time. So, but it gives you a methodology to have in play that 9 out of 10 times doesn't matter, right? The perfect snow that starts at, 2 in the afternoon, let's say, and stops at, 10 at night. Well, hell, everybody's taken care of before the next morning rolls around, right? Everybody's done. So priority one, priority two doesn't necessarily matter in that case, other than who's getting treated first right out the gate if they're still open. you know. But you get that snow that rolls in, that 2 inch snow or inch snow that just require. Let's just say it's a salt only event that rolls in at midnight and it's gone by 2 a.m. Everybody's good by 6 a.m. You know, so it doesn't matter. So, but where it does matter is where timing of the snow event, volume of the snow event, duration of the snow event. This is where prioritizing your accounts and having a logical system in place for your customers makes sense. Because quite honestly, like I tell people when we're talking to them, is and I tell them this, and this may be hardcore, and y'all might think this is unprofessional, but it gets the point across. Let's say, Daniel, you're going to be my customer again. I'm going to say, Daniel, it doesn't matter to me where my trucks are at. If you think quite honestly, I just want to schedule the work. It matters to you how quickly we can be here at your facility, maybe. And if it does matter to you, we've got a plan in place that allows you to get in front of somebody else. Does that make sense? And I think that's what we do, and that's what our customers understand. And I can tell you, Daniel, you know, we don't have complaints on response time generally. I mean, I can't, even with this last event, I don't know if we had an issue of somebody saying, where you at? Where you at?
Yeah.
But that's because we not only have our retainer and deposit system, but Katie, put together, and we all put together that constant contact email that we sent out prior to the storm saying, hey, here's what we're expecting. Here's how we're going to handle it. Here's what we're doing. So we gave them forward thinking knowledge of what our pre-plan was.
I think it kind of goes back to the main thing of we show up, like whether it's mowing, landscaping, or snow, rarely someone's not like, oh, you didn't come mow this week. Like maybe we, on a one off where you go accidentally to the wrong place for the first time or something like that. But like it's something that when you say you show up and you actually follow through, you sometimes actually get more complaints about doing what they consider too much or
Yes.
showing up too much or doing, that's where maybe, and I don't think that's problematic because that doesn't lead to, especially in snow, the slip and falls, or it might lead to more of an explanation of why you had to do something,
Yes.
but it doesn't lead a lot of times to long-term frustration or firing or whatever.
I would rather, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times around here. I would rather explain to a customer why we were there rather than why we weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much simpler conversation, you know, and maybe it's something that we end up not billing. Hell, we had one of those a week or so ago. We had two good opportunities for some light snow. We went out and treated our properties, or most of them, our P1 properties, and we end up not having either of those light snow events. So we made the decision here at WLS to let our customers, we reached out to it and said, hey, just want you guys to know that we're not sending an invoice on that. So we will make the right professional business decision because, again, rather than us trying to be reactive, I want to be proactive on snow because, let's say Daniel's back to being our customer again, right? Okay. It's a whole lot less expensive for me to go out to Daniel's property and put 500 pounds of ice melter down or 300 pounds or whatever it is. I don't want to go put 10 tons somewhere. But I mean, if I've got a doctor's office that I want to go treat, and whether I do it with liquid or granular product, I would rather risk the material cost than risk the service not being provided in a timely manner and having something happen. You know, generally about once a year, we have an issue where we say, hey, we just won't bill it, you know, because, and we're a lot of times, here's something I want you guys to think about too. I know we haven't taken many breaks, but that's all right. Here's something I want you to think about too. This winter and last winter were pretty significant winters as far as outs go. Okay. I don't, we haven't, here locally, we haven't had as many outs as we had last year. But what I want you guys to think about is this. Obviously, your customers' budgets are important. If you're on a seasonal contract with somebody, obviously that's important to you and them both, depending on if we're on a light winter or a heavy winter side of that. We're not getting into writing contracts today on how you protect yourself and how you protect them from that standpoint. But the whole point is when you're in a situation where you've had a large number of events, and here we are, we're still only into January. So, I mean, here in Kentucky, I mean, we got a solid 5-6 weeks of winter left, potentially, you know, and that's longer than that in other parts of the country. But what we're not going to do is say, damn, we've been out a lot. We're not going on this one. Even though that may be something that is very attractive in your mind, before you just decide not to go, make sure your customer has agreed that you're not coming. You know, hey, we've, because, and it may go the other way. It may be, hey, we've exhausted our budget. You know, I know we're set up as a priority one account, but we've been through our complete snow budget for this year and half of next year. We got to save some of it. You know, well, fine. Then if they want to not have us respond on a particular event, we have what we call a stop service request for an event. That way, what happens is if they happen to have a slip and fall or some type of issue that's weather related to no service, they don't get selective memory and say, well, I thought y'all were coming. And I'm not saying you got any customers that would be deceptive. I'm just saying that sometimes customers can get selective memory. And if in order to prevent that selective memory from being a problem for you and your company in the event of a slip and fall, then you need the documentation where they've canceled or stopped that service. And you'd be surprised how many people we ask them, well, just send us an email, you know, declining service for this event. And they'll say, well, no, why don't you go ahead and come? Because we're not doing it as a scare tactic. We're just doing it as a best management practice because we're their risk manager. And I hope that makes sense. You know, last thing I want to talk about is, well, gosh, probably not the last thing. We got 4 minutes. Is following up with your properties after a storm like this. You know, obviously we talked about verbiage and contracts the other day and what that looks like or should look like and what you should have. But, you know, just as a goodwill service opportunity, we will backtrack our accounts after you get a significant snow and just where the city goes by and blocks our entrances up, you know, to their facility. We'll go by, we'll clean those out for them. You know, we'll just drive by, check the property. You know, if the entrance is blocked up, you know, it's part of what we do above and beyond to generate the loyalty from our customers. And now if we get into like going back and because we've done quite a bit of that the last couple of days where, you know, they'll say, hey, we've moved some cars, you know, can you all come move this snow for us where we move these cars? Absolutely, we'll do that. But generally there's a trip charge involved with that. They understand that. where it's not a big deal on a 2 or 3 inch snow, but you get more, whatever more is that they want to look at or count on melting off, and you're going to be cold for a 14-day period, then yeah, that is a billable event. But be there, be available, and do what's right for your customers, and that will build the loyalty. That's just the reality of it. And one thing we've done is we've learned that the best thing we can do is when it comes to call in work. In other words, people that are not on contract. This is just us. I'm not suggesting it's got to be you. I'm just saying, but for us, we've decided that we just don't do call in work. I mean, if you're not one of our customers, we're not going to, we just don't add you during an event. 99.9% of the time. I mean, there's got to be some real extenuating circumstances to where we'll add somebody uh, while an event is going on. Because, you run into, you don't know the lot, you don't know where the water drains are at, you don't know where the speed bumps are at, you don't know where the obstructions are at potentially. So now that $500 or $400 or $10,000, whatever it is, based on the size of the property, that you're going to earn is potentially lost because of damage and or time that it takes to get it cleaned up and or additional ice melter that it takes. And then they've got an ill will taste in their mouth about, damn, man, y'all just came in and took advantage of us. There's no way it should take that long. That's when you say, you're right. You're absolutely right. If you were on our regular service, signed up as a priority one account, none of these additional costs would have taken place, and you would have been functional during the event. Would you like to sign up for our ongoing service after this event? You're going to get a yes or a no. Think the two possible answers. If they say yes, now you know you've got somebody that's concerned about having a good risk management company like your company taking care of their snow. If they say no, I just want to find somebody when we get a snow like this and we'll deal with it, then they've done you a favor too, because now you're not going to be the guy they're mad at and giving you a 2-star review saying, oh man, they molested me when they took advantage of me on that snow. So you win both ways. And whenever you got a win-win situation, you got a profit. And when you got a profit understands in its own sense, yes, it is its own live being, that profit is not a dirty word. We'll see you Friday. Have a great day and stay safe and stay warm.